It's such good shit!
Hey, Mark Rodriguez here, and you're watching the Diving Cutter podcast, and with me are...
Johnny Rodriguez, always a pleasure to be here.
And once again, yet again, Rikki Roxx, God of Thunder, Lord of Rock and Roll, diving in on the Diving Cutter podcast.
There we go, guys. Today we're talking about AEW All Out, the 2021 edition, of course. Everyone's talking about it being one of the biggest, most badass, like the best ever AEW pay-per-views ever. But of course, what do we think about it? And we're also going to compare like our predictions in the last video or last podcast, and we'll see who was right, who was wrong. And yeah, so let's hop into it, guys.
There was definitely a few I was off about, but in all but one case, I was pretty happy to be wrong. But we'll get to those as they come up.
Yeah, and since Dynamite just passed, whenever we touch on something that I guess Dynamite followed up on, then we'll cover that there too, and when we get to those particular matches and things. So right off the bat, the first match we had was the Big 10-man tag team match, which was between Orange Cassidy, Chuck Taylor, Wheeler Utah, who I guess he's the guy who's replacing Trent. I'm not really fully understanding what happened to Trent, that he's gone or whatever, but and Jurassic Express, Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, and Marco Stunt just there to loiter, I guess. And they're going against the Hardy Family Office, which is Jeff Hardy, Isaiah Cassidy, and Mark Queen, the Private Party guys.
Missed something?
Huh?
I mean, Matt Hardy, sir.
Oh, Matt. Did I say Jeff Hardy or something?
You sure did.
Oh my god, I'm becoming fucking JR right now. Well, anyways, oh yeah, there's a JR-ism I'm going to bring up whenever the time comes. But anyways,
I had to check to make sure you didn't swipe my glaucoma medicine.
Oh god. But anyways, Matt Hardy, Cassidy, Mark Queen, and the members of HFO, to remind us they still work here, and Helico and Evans. And also, I guess the Blade was there also to loiter. So anyways, decent match. It's 10 people matches, Johnny and I will be doing most of the play-by-play this time, but for matches like this, so much shit happens that whatever. We promise we'll get better as the show progresses with the bigger, more memorable matches. But anyways, for this one, it was just crazy flippy shit. The thing I remember the most was, everyone got their dues, everyone got their tope suicidas and stuff like that, but there was a funny scene where Cassidy got behind Hardy and the Private Party and did those little kicks to them from behind, like one by one, and they all had that kind of frozen up reaction, like, did something just touch me or whatever? And he turned around and he tried to attack them and things like that. They weren't going to let him do the whole skit this time and everything. And yeah, in the end, Jungle Boy won by getting one of the guys in one of their submission moves. So that's kind of cool. I like how versatile Jungle Boy is and everything. And the weird thing is, at the end of the match, everyone left except for Orange Cassidy. He kind of stayed behind a bit to, like, give the half thumbs up to everyone and whatever. The crowd loves him and stuff, so he's kind of eating it up there. And all the bad guys come back. So surrounded by, Hardy and the Private Party guys and H2O and all them, and the surprise return of the Butcher, because I guess the Butcher was out or something, because the JR and them, they were flipping their shit that he was back. So I'm like, okay, the Butcher, okay, no big deal there, whatever. But yeah, between the Butcher and the Blade and stuff, they started attacking the hell out of Cassidy, and then I guess everyone else remembered that they forgot about him, so they all came back. The guys from the match and Luchasaurus and them came back to try to even the odds, but surprisingly, so did what's his name? Frankie Kazarian came back to fight. I'm like, okay. And then, like, Silvers and Reynolds from the Dark Order fucking came in to help too. And we're like, well, what the fuck? Okay. So they all like fought and helped and whatever. And in the end, they did like this big old group hug, basically crushing everyone in there, and the giant ass group hug and stuff. So that was, yeah, entertaining and everything. But yeah, Team Pockets won that one. Thoughts, guys?
I got pretty close with the prediction, because I actually called Jungle Boy being the one to get the win, I think. But I think I said by pinfall, and he got it by submission, so close enough.
They love him too much. Like, yeah, it would make sense he would get the pin. Either him or Cassidy. They're like the two most loved people on that team. Any thoughts, Johnny?
Pretty much.
From what I remembered, because again, there's a lot of flippy shit going on, and I don't always have the best memory, but from what I remember, from what I recall, is that I guess the good guy teams Orange Cassidy and Jen Tater and Yoder Utah and Jungle Boy and all those people. I think they pretty much coordinated pretty well. They look like a really good team. Like they were in good coordination with each other. They all have their tight ends, and I just like the fact that Jungle Boy, they're actually really giving him arms. But this time, he really is. I mean, he's always been a fan favorite, but now he's more he is a fan favorite, but he's actually the spot he deserves to be. So I like that.
Not even saying, he's been, on the cusp of a big win like that for a while, and there, it's a good way not only to start the show, but it's a good way to put a little spotlight on him too. So that was a pretty good way to do it. The post-match Smaz stuff, that was, that's old school, so I was like to see that too.
Yeah, it made sense. Jungle Boy would get the pin, submission, pin, still a win. He still won it for the team, so that kind of makes sense. Keep the momentum going. I had a feeling because since they lost the tag tournament and stuff, so they couldn't make it for, the big match against the Young Bucks. I mean, that's one way to keep them winning. Is one way to keep the Jungle Boy fans happy, So right now for the second match, I was surprised it was the second match so quickly. It was the Miro match, defending the TNT title against Eddie Kingston. The storyline kind of goes that Eddie Kingston was noticing from all the previous matches that one of the weak spots for Miro is the back of the neck because he keeps getting all these suplexes. Even the match with Fuego del Sol, at the beginning he did a lot of suplexes and hurricanranas and junk that kept landing on his neck, which made us believe, at least in the beginning, that he was going to actually win until Miro, got up and did his usual, So Eddie Kingston and Miro, they traded shots, they traded blows and stuff to kind of show that Eddie could stand his ground against Miro. He wasn't as overwhelmed and everything. And halfway during the match, because at first I saw he was targeting the arm too much, but then halfway during the match, we got back on to that storyline beat. So Eddie was slamming him in several suplexes on the back of his neck and stuff. And he actually got Miro in the Fisherman Plex, which I was thinking that was it. I was like, holy shit, you're going to actually let him win this one. But, nah, Miro still kicked out and everything. And unfortunately, it's kind of he's too powerful in that regard. So once Miro actually landed the kick, I believe he missed a couple of times, but once he actually did land the kick and got him in the game over, that was it. I mean, Kingston fought for a while. It made us think. I was like, wow, is he actually going to get out? But I think right now we're at the point where it's too soon, I guess, to have someone that can power out of it just yet and stuff. So he passed out. Miro retains. He is still the winner of the TNT title, and he can go home to satisfy his very flexible wife multiple times. But it's so weird because he keeps bringing her up, but she has not made her appearance just yet. So
I remember, so it's kind of like those matches where they're both very talented, they're both fighting each other, and there's various close calls to the situation, but in the end Miro was still able to retain his championship title.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy. It's good to see him get a little more traction than he had a few months ago. This has been a good run for Miro recently with the TNT Championship. I think that's a pretty good spot for him. Length was okay. They went about 13. A lot of hard-hitting stuff, a lot of suplexes. I mean, I always like to see that, but like I said, if I have a hang-up, it's just that no matter who it is, it's not even them. It's just the way wrestling is now. I see somebody kick out of a DDT at 2. I'm like, well, you obviously didn't do it right. But, because he should be dead. Like a pile driver. You shouldn't call that if somebody's going to kick out of it. But other than that, I got to, let certain things go, and that's one of them, I guess. But other than that, yeah, good stuff all around there.
But yeah, it was so good match, overall. It was so good that Miro won. Yeah, I think they're going to try to, keep the momentum going in terms of Miro.
So I see here that for the three of us, again, the three of us were all Team Miro. Like I said, kind of during my prediction video, that I felt like Miro's going to win, just that, at least with Kingston, it would feel more like an actual match and not like a squash, It would still make us go there,
Yeah, I mean, 13 minutes for a pay-per-view match, a title match, that's pretty on point.
So then for our next match, here is one that was also, again, surprised. They didn't put it later in the card, but it was Jon Moxley defending the versus Satoshi Kojima and everything. And yeah, what can I say? It's a pretty good match. They
You forgot to say the new GCW World Champion.
Oh God, yeah, that's right.
Jack Knives. I heard the reason why Jack's not here with us tonight is because he's been in an alcohol-induced coma ever since Mox won the GCW belt. Now maybe you can confirm that.
Yeah, he probably is, because he's saying, "Oh, great, that's a title that will never get defended."
I think Jack went full Nick Cage leaving Las Vegas after Mox won that belt, but you'd have to confirm that, Mark. You told me more than I did.
I'm pretty sure he did. But yeah, Moxley just randomly showed up at Game Changer Wrestling and challenged the guy and won. Whoever, I'm not sure who the champion was before he showed up.
Wasn't it Cardona?
Oh God.
Yeah, wasn't it? Did that?
Would not be surprised. Well, hey, he did more there than he did in AEW, I'll tell you that.
Because Cardona had he just put the spinner on it. I think.
God.
And people were loving that because he put the spinner belt. Yeah, it was fucking Cardona he beat for it.
Oh, Jesus. Well, like I said, he did more there than he ever did in AEW.
Yeah, it's just, that's crazy, man. Like, that's the thing. Like, sometimes I'm not on for a couple days, so I miss things. But where'd that come from all of a sudden? So pour one out for Jack Knives, since he's not with us today, because he's finding solace in the bottom of the bottle.
Oh, God.
Thanks to Moxley winning that fucking belt.
But Moxley actually came out with a black jacket that had the Game Changer Wrestling logo on it and everything. So there you go. Oh, by the way, Johnny, just so you know, if you remember that match that we saw before with the people fighting with the strobe lights and the thumbtacks and all that junk, that was Game Changer Wrestling.
Oh, okay.
So that was the same one that John Moxley's. So anyways, John Moxley showed up and everything with his, GCW jacket on and everything, kind of rubbing it into Jack Knives. And yeah, his theme song is Wild Thing. I'm like, I don't know. I like his other theme song better, to be honest. Anyways, yeah, Moxley went out and he faced off against Satoshi Kojima. And yeah, there was a lot of like sizing up in the beginning. There was a bit of like chops, kind of like to see who could withstand the chops more and stuff like that. And they actually got into it. They got into it for a good while. They were doing all these moves on each other to kind of, like, most of the match kind of felt like, I guess, I don't know, like you think you're tough, huh? Kind of things. They kept doing, like lariats and other shit to each other to see who can get up or not and stuff. He did crack Moxley with his infamous lariat that knocks you, sets you flying and shit. But, Moxley still got up. He eventually got the what do you call it, the paradigm shift on him and won. But what's surprising was it didn't quite end there, because even though the match ended there, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we got Minoru Suzuki just showing up out of nowhere too, and he actually got into the ring. They did another face-off. They did, like more of the, like, who can stand the chops and who can stand the punches better between the two of them. And it almost felt like because it went on for a little bit though. It almost felt like it was a second match, almost like a handicap 2-on-1 match or something. And Minoru, I believe he actually flattened Moxley out and left and everything, which left I think Moxley like a post interview, oh, I'm gonna get you kind of thing, because he flattened Moxley. But that was so weird having, like, I guess back to back New Japan Pro Wrestling cameos coming up in this match.
I love to see that stuff. I can't help it.
I mean, I was surprised. I was most surprised that Minoru, because I thought he was just going to come in, face him off, walk off, whatever. But no, the bit kind of kept going. It was almost like half a match. It was almost like a match and a half.
It's kind of, I do think it's neat that they're so big on cross promotion in AEW, working with other companies and then working with New Japan. Like, that's a big deal for them and, for everybody. Like, I always liked to see that. Again, it goes back to when I was a fan growing up. When WCW used to bring in the New Japan guys like Buddha, oh, man, or Chono. Oh, like, Chono kind of dogged it a little bit in America compared to his Japanese stuff, but just seeing them show up, it was like, these are guys I've only read about. Now I get to see them fight my favorite guys, like Pillman Liger, Sting, Buddha. Like, to me, back then as a kid, wrestling didn't get any better than that. So I still get a little excited when I see that kind of thing now. I can't help it.
I think we all predicted John Moxley winning the match, if I'm not mistaken, in the predictions.
Yeah, I think we all looked at it the same, you know.
So I pretty much view this match as, with that in mind, like what I said in the previous podcast, that it's going to be more like a, localized match. So, of course, it's more people here in the States know more John Moxley compared to Satoshi Kojima. They're going to obviously going to in favor more John Moxley winning the match versus Kojima. But overall, it was still a very good match. It was still a very good longish match because it was only 13 minutes long. No, I'm sorry, cross that. 11 minutes and 50 seconds or whatever. But
yeah, so they went about 12, which is good. I mean, especially for a lot of hard hitting.
Yeah, it was still a very good match. But logically speaking, I mean, it's kind of match that if this was aired, like I guess if they had like the Japanese version of this pay-per-view, they would have probably favored more of Satoshi. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I see this match.
Well, maybe we'll get a rematch down the road. You never know.
Yeah, because I know that Minoru got a rematch against Moxley and Dynamite, and of course that was Moxley winning again. So I don't know. They got this weird thing now where Moxley's just kind of like, I guess, mowing over all the New Japan Pro Wrestling talent here or something. Like, I don't know. Like, after a while, I'm going to want to see someone come in and actually beat him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he never loses. It's just, it is kind of weird that that's the mode he's in right now. Like, he's the guy who's, he's the guy who beats the Japanese guys. Almost, But, I mean, like I said, the cross-promotional stuff, I've always loved to see it, and I love to see it even now. And I used to say this about WCW, too. When I was a kid, everybody I knew was a WWF fan, and I was the only WCW fan. And I used to point at that stuff, and I'd be like, look at WCW, man. They bring in guys from Japan, Mexico, all over the world. WWF is just their guys. And I was like, they say they're the best company in the world. They don't even have everybody in the world wrestling there. So I used to point at WCW and be like, that's a global wrestling company. And now, to give credit where it's due to AEW, they're kind of mimicking a lot of what WCW used to do. Thankfully, a lot of the good stuff that they used to do. And I think that's one of those things, They had Hoovy come in a while back, and they're bringing in guys like Kojima, and it's like, wow, this gives them a bit more legitimacy as far as being a global wrestling promotion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing I would also like to add is that, you also to realize that, like, this pay-per-view is being televised, like, all over the world. There are different announcers from different countries, so it's, compared to the WWE, that they broadcast their pay-per-view everywhere, but, like, in a certain aspect, like, the wrestling still feels very localized. I actually do like the fact that the AEW really does have a more of a international feel in certain aspects.
Absolutely.
So, pops up to that, it's pretty good.
It goes back to, there's a thing we kind of make fun of in the business sometimes, like, every company calls their belt the world title, right? Even if they're like an indie. And a lot of guys are like, we snicker. We're like, yeah, the world champion of, Pittsburgh Championship Wrestling. Like, you're a world champion. You never go outside of Pittsburgh. So how could you say you're the best in the world? Well, likewise, if you're a wrestling company and you say this guy here, whoever it is, he's the best in the world. He only wrestles the same 5 or 6 guys, and they all work for the same company. But he's the best in the world. Like, how could you say you're the best in the world? You don't even have competition from all over the world. You've been wrestling the same 6 guys your whole career. So, that's one of those things we riff on. So like you said, there's that international flavor. There's a feeling of legitimacy. And there's also excitement in the fact that because they do things like this, you literally never know what kind of matches are going to come up a month from now, 2 months from now. I mean, you wouldn't think you'd see that kind of thing happening. So, it's a way to keep people invested and excited, and it's not, it keeps things from getting stale and predictable. So I'm all about that.
I remember back when they had the stupid, because that was the thing, though. The whole WWE Universal title came to be because when they started doing like the brand splits and stuff, and they started doing things like, you got blue tag belts now and red tag belts, and the blue women's title and the red women's title, because they're like the different brands or whatever the fuck. So like they already had like the WWE heavyweight, what are they called, the world title, whatever. Like I guess they didn't want to have two titles. They wanted to keep it one. So the Universal title was technically speaking the Raw title because it was red. You know what I mean? And Brock Lesnar with his infamous fucking like defending his title only maybe 3 times a year or some shit like that. People used to joke like, well, I mean, you gotta remember, it's called a Universal title. He's defending it against aliens, and other planets and shit. That's why we don't see him here that often, man. He's like fighting in Mars and shit, defending his title over there.
I don't know, man. I'm just... they got a lot of belts over there, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's a little hard to keep track of. I remember when they did the first brand split, I was still reading the aftermags all the time back then, like PWI, and they just had the hardest time keeping all the belts straight because they were on, different shows and everything. And so we got more convoluted since then. But that's a whole other can of worms right there. That's all.
Yeah, I never liked the brand split garbage. It's just like lack of ratings because it gets everyone excited to see who's going where, and sometimes there's the potential where like tag teams can get split up because of this and that kind of shit. It's just a fucking rating booster, And then like the following year they just do like not another brand split, but they just do another draft where now it's like, don't miss Raw because we got the Raw draft. Don't miss SmackDown. We got the SmackDown draft. It's just, rating crap.
I gave up on that stuff, well, before it started, really. But, I mean, like, very quickly it became apparent that it was like they could undo some of that stuff in 3 days if they felt like it. And they did that a couple of times. It was like on Monday they were like, oh, so-and-so got drafted to SmackDown, and then like the next day they'd be like, oh, never mind. It was like, so what the hell is the point of that shit? If you're just gonna undo it, it's kind of like how I'm less invested in the Rumble nowadays because they're like, oh, the winner gets a shot at WrestleMania, except for like half the time they don't for one reason or other.
I remember that bullshit.
January and March, it was like, so what the fuck was the point of all that shit? It drives me up a fucking wall.
And then the whole thing where if you lose this match, you're fired of Raw, but like big deal, he'll just show up on SmackDown anyway. Like no real consequence.
Yeah, like they don't even leave any mystery to it because they'll drag it out. They're like, if you lose this match, you'll never wrestle on Raw again. And it's like they make it a point to say that so even some idiot who's drooling all over his pickle can be like, oh, I know what's gonna happen now. He's gonna show up on SmackDown. It's like, telegraph your fucking, just do things a little differently. I don't know.
Oh man. So yeah, all of us went with Jon Moxley on the premise that Satoshi's a cameo guest star, and also I guess like Moxley's the not just the Game Changer Wrestling champion, but also the New World Japan Pro Wrestling Slayer or something. So
we're 3 for 3. We're all in, brother. We're all in on All Out.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking, I don't know. I mean, I think by now he's got enough wins. I think if they ever bring in like yet someone else and they like bring Naito or someone and beat Moxley, I think he can take the loss by now. He's already beating enough Japanese guys. Like he should be able to eat a loss by now. You know what I mean? Because it'll get boring after a while. It's like the next pay-per-view, Moxley versus, whoever else versus Kota Ibushi. We're all like, gee, I wonder who's gonna win. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Well, I don't care if the dude's 100 years old. If Muta comes in against Mox, I'm calling Muta.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen that movie that he was in where he beat the shit out of where he beat that demon to death. Like the origin of Muta. You ever see that shit? You gotta watch that.
Oh, God.
I mean, he's paranormal.
Wow. So the next match we had is...
Don't get me started on Great Muta.
The next match we have here, and which Johnny can join me in, if you know, is the match where Chris Statlander, with Orange Cassidy hanging around, challenged Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. And, yeah, with, of course, with Reba and with Hayter kind of loitering around. So, what can I say? It was a pretty good match. What's her name? Statlander really showed off more like her size and strength. Because, yeah, can't remember if she's actually a bit taller than her, but she's a bit thicker. You know, she's a bit more muscular, got a bit thicker legs and stuff than Baker does. So she has like the power advantage, like just throwing her around like she's nothing and everything, and taking a lot of Baker's attacks like barely not selling them and everything. Cassidy he was basically there to keep them away, so it was a fair fight. There were times where Statlander was thrown out of the ring, and Hayter and Rebel were gonna do something, but Cassidy kind of just stands in their way to kind of keep things clean, so there were no shenanigans or anything during the match. But yeah, there were some close calls. There were some close calls where Statlander looked like he was gonna win. She was actually gonna grab what's her name, Baker in the Big Bang Theory, but somehow Baker like reversed it into her famous hold with the lockjaw. And yeah, it was bad though. Unfortunately, once the lockjaw came in, Statlander fought the most she could, but once the glove thing got into her jaw, I mean, that's it. She tapped out, and I was like, oh damn, because they made me believe there were some real close calls where she like knocked Baker out and crap, and you think like, oh shit, this is it, you know. But no, Britt Baker retained. She's still your champion. She's still in Britsburg, and there we go. So we'll see who will challenge her next after this.
Well, you know, I gotta say a couple things. You know, don't have much to add to, you know, you pretty much nailed it. But I will say this, I always pop when I see the flatliner into the corner, into the turnbuckle, because that's one of my moves. So when I see people do that, I'm like, yeah. I don't know, that's a personal thing. But on top of that, you know what I'm wondering why nobody does? When they booked into a feud with Britt Baker, and it makes me wonder if these people even want to win. You know, do they want to beat her? As you pointed out, Baker got the win with the lockjaw, right? So if I'm booked into a feud with Britt Baker, the first thing I'm going to do is develop a new hold called the tetanus shot.
Oh, God.
Right? Because you got to counteract the lockjaw. So how do you do that? With a tetanus shot.
Oh, my God.
I got to think of everything for these fucking people. And that's why she didn't win. That's why Statlander didn't win. That, and because Road Warrior Hawk called her from heaven and said he wanted his goddamn face paint back.
Oh,
that's
Jesus.
A hell of a thing. That's a hell of a thing. You got me fired up now, Bart. You got me fired up.
Oh, God. The thing I remember the most was in one of the earlier matches of Baker's career in AEW, I forgot if it was either Riho or Yuka Sakazaki. I'm pretty sure it was Riho. Because Yuka Sakazaki, they made the point to actually like bust her teeth, and they showed her like, you know, her mouth bleeding and all that crap. But I think it was Riho, where Riho just flat out refused to open her mouth. So that just killed the lockjaw right there. She couldn't get it in, and like she won. And it makes me think, why don't more of the opponents try to do that? To just try to clamp your mouth shut and try not to open it whenever she's trying to do the lockjaw on you.
Easier said than done sometimes. I've had people, you know, do friggin' stuff. I hate it. It always gets me. But, you know, sometimes they fish hook you, and it's like, sometimes you fight it, but can't be much done. But, yeah. But I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, if somebody wants to finally beat this chick, they got to come up with a move and call it the tetanus shot.
Oh, God.
Counteract the lockjaw. She's going to be lost. She's not going to know what the fuck to do. I'm telling you, man. It's like when Greg the Hammer Valentine and Rugged Ronnie Garvin had their feud, and Valentine had the leg brace on, the Heartbreaker, so when he'd put on the figure 4 and he'd slap the leg on you with the Heartbreaker, it was over. But then Garvin, he had his own leg brace called the Hammer Jammer that he had on his leg, so when Valentine ripped the Heartbreaker, he couldn't lock it in because of the Hammer Jam. Like, you gotta think of these things.
Oh, God. So the Hammer Valentine couldn't get the move in because of the Hammer Jammer.
That's right.
Oh my god. Oh god.
Yeah, because the Hammer Jammer would block the Heartbreaker instead of putting
Oh god.
pressure on a guy's leg, you're just putting pressure on the leg brace, and the brace is blocking the hold. And those were good matches, man. You gotta go back and watch Greg the Hammer versus Roddy Garvin. Greg the Hammer versus anybody. Fuck that.
Oh man. So anyways, all three of us went with Baker for various reasons. I'm sure the main reason was because the numbers game, and also because, like, it's too soon. It's too soon for Baker to drop the title now, I think.
I think that was the main reason we had, was that, it's early yet, and she's over, so why fuck with that?
But yeah, this match was very, it was really good, actually. I mean, it just shows how, I think both these women are.
Yeah, that's what I said. All three of us voted for Baker because it was like too soon for her to lose.
So we're 4 for 4, and now here's where things are going to get a little bit interesting, because now I believe we got that steel cage match that the whole world's been talking about.
Oh yeah, yeah. So here we got the Lucha Brothers, Penta El Cero Miedo and Rey Fénix coming in with Alex Abrahantes, and they were doing like this super badass like Cero Miedo rap, man, that just took us back to the old Chicago, down in the barrio style rapping. So that was a lot of fun. Like just the intro and everything, and the crowd just really eating it up, and people just, they had a couple of guys dancing and doing a Cero Miedo pose while they were dancing and rapping, and it was just a whole thing. That was pretty cool, and going up against the Young Bucks with Brandon Cutler there, just fucking loitering. So they got a steel cage match. It was a pretty intense match. The guys were, doing the usual flippy shit and all kinds of weird, crazy combination of moves. They were throwing each other up against a steel cage here and there and everything. So that was pretty interesting. What can I say? Did a good job. I was actually joking, like, oh my god, the Young Bucks were actually selling, because they were actually selling sometimes after getting slammed up against the cage a couple of times. There were times where they couldn't do their moves, or they stalled a bit because they kept like holding onto their backs or whatever. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, there we go, and things like that. Brandon Cutler made this a little interesting. He had a bag full of tools that he took a couple of steps back and did this super epic throw to throw this stuff into the ring. And we had some shoes that were covered in thumbtacks on the soles and stuff. So the Young Bucks got to cut up the Lucha Bros a little bit, make them bleed and things like that. Especially Penta El Cero. His face was like mostly red and everything. As the match continued, there was a spot where the Lucha Bros actually got a hold of the shoes and just basically stabbed each of the Young Bucks' foreheads with it. It's like kind of like, see how you like a fucker and stuff like that. And they kept going. They after a while they started to climb the cage, but sometimes the Lucha Bros would take that chance to just jump off it. Yeah, there was a part where Fénix was actually on top of the cage. And instead of going down, no, he fucking leapt off the top of the cage and landed on everybody else down below and everything. And there was a close call between Fénix and one of the Bucks fighting each other on top of the cage to make sure none of them goes down and stuff like that. And my memory off the top of my head, oh, this was cool. There was a spot where where the Cero Miedo people actually ripped off like the Young Bucks' own Meltzer driver thing. So that was kind of cool. That was the perfect way to end it there, but then they still kicked out and everything. But in the end, one of the Young Bucks was out of commission. So they took their spot there. They both did like their big power slam on the remaining member, because they both look alike to me after a while. Whatever. So between the Young Bucks, you know what I mean?
You did.
I'm talking about the Young Bucks. Not no one cares about them. But anyways, they did their combination move on them, and then Cero pinned them down while Fénix went over there to make sure the other guy stayed down so that he wouldn't break the pin and stuff. And lo and behold, the big shocking moment that I never thought, because you know how it gets crazy near the end where everyone's just kicking out of fucking everything, and all these close calls and shit. But wow, the Lucha Bros actually fucking won the titles, and it was amazing. They were in such disbelief. They were, I Seto in particular was crying. It was just an emotional moment. I remember, what's his name? The other guy, Phoenix, had to kind of walk out real quick because there was still a part during the match where the Young Bucks were fucking with his mask, trying desperately to take the mask off and everything to, distract that way.
I was pissed off when they were doing that because that's supposed to be like the tradition in Mexican wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's good. It's good heat, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's good heat.
So when they won the titles, he had to leave real quick, I guess, fix his mask a bit, and then come back so they could both be, together to pose with the belts and all that. But it was amazing, man. We both felt. I mean, from the beginning with the Barrio rapping to the match to how good it was to how the Young Bucks were actually fucking selling for once in their damn lives and stuff like that, and just the whole everything. Wow, man. They're the tag team champs, yo. It's fucking awesome. We were texting each other yes, finally, all over the spacey face,
You know what's killing me this week? And I'm not going to let it go. I might not be so loud about it, but I'm never going to let it go. I can't stand that top rope Canadian Destroyer. I can't stand it. I just can't stand it.
Oh, man, we were both holy fucking shit when he did that.
I swear I've seen it 3 times in the last 2 weeks, and I can't stand it. I'm just done with it. Don't do it. But I don't know. I know society's passed me by, but I will say this though: not only were we shocked by the outcome, because I know I expected the Bucks to retain for various reasons, but at the same time, I've been reading a few things on the old interwebs there, and it turns out that this specific match, have you heard this, Mark? This specific match was a world-changing event. Have you heard about this?
No, why? What happened? Because the Young Bucks finally sold?
That's part of it, but according to good brother Jordan Mishkin on WrestleCrap.com...
WrestleCrap.
The Young Bucks Lucha Brothers match changed the rotation of the Earth, Mark.
What?
Because of all the high-impact action. Here we go. Okay. Hoffman Estates, Illinois, AEW's tag team title match at All Out between the Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers was so action-packed that it literally changed the world. Scientists have determined that the fast pace of the match combined with the excessive amounts of flips and twists have actually caused the Earth's entire rotation to change. The energetic tag team cage match at All Out received praise from wrestling fans and abject horror from the scientific community. NASA scientist Dion Foucault says this is an incredible phenomenon. The combination of spinning, twisting, whirling, and twirling by all 4 participants has shifted how our planet turns. All of the somersaults, the moonsaults, shooting star presses, stentons, corkscrews, and other maneuvers have thrown the Earth out of alignment. The sudden change has thrown our world into chaos, floods, fires, earthquakes, another Logan Paul boxing match. It is total anarchy. Run for your lives. Fans, on the other hand, seemed unfazed by all the death and destruction surrounding them. Said one live attendee, a sinkhole opened up in the parking lot and I lost my car. But hey, did you see that Meltzer driver off of the cage? Can anyone give me a ride home? I mean, if my home is still there. If not, I will need a place to crash. Journalist Sean Sapp said, I thought the Bucks wearing ugly clothes was real heel stuff, but destroying countless lives with a killer moveset just takes the cake, he said before heading for higher ground. AEW CEO Tony Khan. Yeah, life as we know it may be coming to an end, but the hype Penta got to finish the match was worth it, he said from the safety of his doomsday bunker. Before California finally broke off from the rest of the United States, Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer praised the match. As the large state floated aimlessly in the Pacific Ocean, Meltzer said, 7 3/4 stars. Would have gotten 8 if the Tokyo Dome didn't burn down.
Oh my god.
That is the scuttlebutt from Jordan, Michigan at WrestleCrap.com. I'm amazed we're all still standing.
Yeah, that was amazing, man. That was feel-good moment of the night, at least so far during that event. I was like, wow, man. And, you know, it got scary because all the times they kicked out made you think, like, oh, fuck, the Young Bucks are going to win again and shit like that. But no, you know, it was fucking awesome.
Yeah, I know that was definitely the first one that took us all by surprise because I know this is where things are finally going to split off. And the predictions are no longer all correct or all unanimous. So I know I was wrong on this one.
Well, actually, I got here that all three of us went for the Lucha Bros, I think.
No, I said the Young Bucks because I didn't think it was time yet.
Oh, I get it. So you wanted like the Bros to win, but you still thought like, yeah, the Young Bucks are gonna win anyways, or whatever.
I'm almost positive I said that, but I mean, I watched Lost Highway and Mulholland Drive back to back the other night for the first time, so I mean, I might not even be in the same timeline as you guys right now. It's all kind of vague.
Oh God.
But I'm pretty sure I called it for the Bucks, but I don't know.
So now we've got the other big match here. We've got the 21-woman Casino Battle Royale, and the winner will get a future AEW Women's World Championship match. And there's a lot of thoughts here and there. So first of all, this thing happened like right after we did the first podcast, so I didn't have time to like, you know, post a follow-up or whatever. We already did it. It was already online. So of all the members, Julia Hart was going to be one of the entrants, but she got injured in an episode of AEW Dark. Like, she had a match and she got injured during that match. My understanding is they did a kayfabe jumping on her or whatever to explain why she wouldn't be there, to, I guess, cover up the fact she was injured for real. I don't know how that makes sense, but whatever. But either way, Sky Blue has been wrestling a couple of matches in Dark. She had a match against Red Velvet, and Tony Khan came out of nowhere and said, hey, you know, Sky Blue, you want to join us in tomorrow's Battle Royale? So, yeah, she said, hell's yeah. So, there we go. And, yeah, so I was surprised, actually, that she was one of the first ones when they had, like, the first group. Don't ask me to keep track which group was which, but you know how it goes. It's the diamonds, the clubs, the spades, and the...
That's the problem. We even pointed this out on the last podcast, you know. There's always that wild card they throw in there at AEW, which makes predicting these kind of things tough, but...
Yeah, well, we'll get there. But, so yeah, so they started off and everything, and it was, I don't know, it was kind of weird, because I guess in a sense, you could say, hey, I was there, you know, but, like, literally Sky Blue, for all the attention, and you know, this is, like, an indie wrestler, this is, like, your big shot to, you know, be in a bigger audience. He was actually in the pay-per-view. This was not, like, during the buy-in. This was during the actual pay-per-view. And she was the first one thrown out in, like, maybe a minute or two.
Yeah.
She did a few kicks here and there, and then he just threw her ass out. And I'm like, the fuck? What? You know, like, dude, I mean, I guess that means that Julia would have been the first one thrown out? I don't know. But anyways, Allie was there, the bunny. I know she lasted for quite a while. One of the bigger things was that Nyla Rose was there, and you know, yeah, she was cleaning house. She was lasting for a long time. They did the thing where sometimes some of the people try to gang up on the heavier person, but it just was not working. Nyla Rose was just fucking cleaning house, you know. They did the thing where Penelope Ford came in to help out. I think it was Allie and everything. Ty Conti came in a bit late into the game. Anna Jay, who just came back from injury, was there, so they both teamed up on a couple of people left and right. The big surprise, I guess, was that Hikaru Shida was actually thrown out pretty like early on in the match there. So it was like, oh shit, you know. Jade also came in kind of late. Riho did last quite a bit before she got thrown out. But as the numbers started going and everything, and we getting closer to the Joker, some of the final people there were Nyla Rose and Thunder Rosa and everything. And when it came to the time of the actual Joker, it was none other than Ruby Soho, formerly known as Ruby Riott. And the thing that got me was, with all these, you know, internet leaks and all this bullshit, everyone always seems to know everything, blah, blah, blah. Before she even came out, when it just said the Joker, and it's still like, 5, 4, 3, like that. Like we don't even know who it is yet. It's still counting down. The audience was legit already like Ruby Soho, Ruby Soho before she would even come out. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, y'all. So what if fucking Mercedes Martinez came out instead? Or what if like Mickie James? I found out she was also released around that time. What if Mickie James fucking came out instead? Y'all cheering for fucking Ruby Soho, and out comes like Martinez or Veda Scott or anyone else. You know what I mean? Like what would have happened then?
It would have been like Daniel Bryan, and here comes number 30, Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, I remember that. So Ruby Riott comes out sporting a Ruby Soho, which to my credit, when she came in, she got in the match. She started fighting against both Nyla and Thunder Rosa, and yes, JR did say, so here comes Ruby Riott, Ruby Soho with a kick. And but it wasn't as bad as Tommy End when he did like the whole Aleister Black. It's like it's Tommy End. No, it's Black. It's Aleister. No, it's Malachi Black. They were like just fumbling. They didn't know what to call him like when he appeared. But anyways, they eventually got Nyla Rose out. Nyla Rose did that stupid thing where she runs and I guess trips over the ropes or whatever the fuck, and she's out. So now it's like just Thunder Rosa and Ruby Soho. And it got close. They're both outside of the, outside of the, like on the other side of the ropes. You know what I mean? Like they're still on the ring, they're still in the apron part, but they're still like on the wrong side of the ropes. And they're trying to clobber each other. And you know how it is. Like you can't really fall there because you're gonna fall out of the ring. So they're trying to kick each other, trying to clobber each other. Ruby actually blocks what would have been a kick to the face, and then she kicks Thunder Rosa back in the face, and it just gets very, very close. They're both, very wobbly from the attacks that they're taking to the face and left and right and stuff. But eventually, Ruby Soho does knock Thunder Rosa out. And yes, she has a future AEW title shot. I missed the match because, work kind of wore me out. But I do know that yesterday in Dynamite, Ruby started off by going after Jamie Hayter and everything to kind of rub it in the face. Kind of like, like Britt Baker, I'm coming for you, bitch. I'm coming for you. You know what I mean? So we'll see how that goes. But already Ruby has made her presence known by not only winning the Rumble, the Royale, but also like taking out Jamie Hayter in last night's match. So that's going to be kind of cool. So your thoughts, amigos?
Pretty interesting, and I almost felt like, holy shit, my predictions like pretty much close to what I predicted at the time, because like Thunder Rosa was actually like pretty much literally like the best last woman sitting on the room. But of course, when Ruby's whole showed up, it was so close that I still thought that Thunder Rosa could still win this one, So prediction wise, because I think I did predicted Thunder Rosa winning this one. I felt kind of like damn, I was really close on this one.
I was way off. I'm almost positive I predicted Jade, and that's I'm pretty sure I even said there's always that Joker card they can throw down, and sometimes yes, sometimes no, but sometimes when they do that, that's the one who wins, and that's what happened this time, and us not knowing kind of threw that into flux. But hey, that's part of the AEW excitement, is the not knowing. So I know I got this one wrong, but it was a case where it really doesn't matter, because what ended up happening was probably better than my prediction anyway. So there you go.
Yeah, so a lot of us got different people here. Yeah, you were right. Rikki did go for Jade Cargill. Johnny went for Thunder Rosa. I went for Ty Conti. Of course, Ruby Soho won. So it's kind of like that, you know what I mean? But we also didn't know enough of people that could have, I don't know who else it could have been, I guess, besides Ruby Soho. Possible exception. I don't know if Mickie James would ever jump to AEW. She's been at it for so long. She could just flat out retire, so I don't know. But
I think that's right now. I think that's the plan. But she's working with the NWA, but I don't think she's going to do in-ring. Maybe a little bit here and there down the road. But for now, I think it's not happening.
Yeah, but I think if we kind of sort of this is up to you guys if you want to give Johnny the win or not. But Johnny's pick at least was like the one who lasted the longest. Like the final two were Thunder Rosa and Ruby Soho. So we take that into account. Johnny kind of sort of won in that regard, if we want to count that or not.
Well, I wouldn't really count it because it's kind of like a close call because it's not the actual victor of the match. You know?
All right, so I'll just say all three of us lost then.
What they came up with was better than what our prediction would have been anyway, so I can't really be mad about it even, you know.
All right, guys. So here we got one of the big ones, the real big ones of the night here. So we've got Le Champion, Chris Jericho, going up against MJF for the final fight because again they have a couple of fights here and there, and Jericho brought up the idea that if they can have one more fight with the added stipulation that if Jericho were to lose this fight, he'll forever have to retire from in-ring competition. And you can still be there for commentary or whatever the hell, but he can't compete in the ring anymore in AEW. And that's what made MJF actually come out and agree. So, yeah, it's an interesting match there. Jericho came out with someone playing, I guess, like an electric guitar version of the song, like, you know, without singing. The whole audience, like, sang along with him. I felt a lot of passion there because, like, you know, for all they knew, it could have been the last time they're singing it and everything. Yeah, the match is pretty alright, you know. Obviously, we get to see a little bit of how MJF is a bit faster and quicker due to the, you know, age difference between him and Jericho and everything. They started off, you know, with punches and trying to throw each other in junk and kind of showing off that whatever one can do, the other one can still just get right back up from it and stuff like that. You know, it got pretty intense here and there. Of course, Jericho would be kind of like the first to get worn down a bit, so MJF would take advantage to beat him and attack him and things like that. There would be close calls where Jericho would try to put him in the walls of Jericho and stuff, but MJF would always like get away. He would already see it coming, so he would try to get the fuck out of there before he would get stuck in it and everything. And you know, it was a typical match, but the ending part was the part that got super duper close. So basically, to do it almost like poetic irony or whatever, MJF actually clocked Jericho with his own what do you call it? The stupid double dragon elbow. The Judas effect. He clocked him with his own Judas effect and knocked him the hell out. And what happened though is, as they were out and they were doing the count, Jericho had his foot on the ropes. But the thing is that, I mean, you know, due to the angle or whatever the fuck you want to say, what's her name? Aubrey didn't see it, so she flat out counted the 1, 2, 3. And they declared, you know, MJF the winner. They started playing his music and a whole bunch of shit until another referee came out and pointed out, like, yo, you know, whatever. So they started talking. They got a third guy there. They were all talking. I saw it, and whatever. So they officially restarted the match and everything. And, you know, what's his name? MJF was caught off guard by that. And that's the part where Jericho finally grabbed him, put him in the walls of Jericho. There was some suspense to see if MJF could actually make it to the ropes, but like Jericho dragged him out, you know, more in the middle of the ring. MJF fought the best he could because, you know, this is it and everything. But he finally tapped out, and Jericho retains, I guess, well, you know, the right to continue his in-ring competition. The other thing to mention is that there was a part where I believe Sean Spears, no, it wasn't all of them. I think FTR came out, but Sammy Guevara and Jake, no, wait, oh god, I can't think. Some of them came out. I know it wasn't the entire Pinnacle. It was just two of them. I think it was just Sean Spears. Yeah, Wardlow and Sean Spears, I think. Yeah, and then Sammy and Jake Hager came to keep them out of it. So the match was still clean. You know, like they tried to interfere, but they got stopped before it would, you know, shit would happen to fuck up MJ, you know, to fuck up the fight or whatever. But yeah, that was a close one, man. That was a close one. And honestly speaking, if they were gonna go all the way, and if MJF really was gonna retire him, like really, what better way than to retire him with his own like Judas effect? But oh shit, you know.
Well, you know, I was definitely off on my prediction, but I got to say the way they presented everything, I thought was, done well. I thought that, it's a little bit of, I don't know if you want to say overbooking, but it's booking in a way where it does let MJF keep some of his heat. He can still claim, like, look, I got that 3 count, and there's a loophole to it, so it doesn't, the whole scenario keeps him kind of strong in a way where even in defeat, they can come back and revisit this in 6 months if they want to, or whatever. They can build more stories. That's what it's all about, is not just like finishing one story, but setting up the next one. So, and keeping your characters strong. And I feel like they did that. Again, I was like, well, Jericho's going to be taking time off. So in my cynical brain of having seen this angle 100 times in wrestling, my assumption was, okay, he's going to take another L. He's going to go do the cruise. He's going to go do the Fozzy thing. And then he'll be back in a few months, and they'll find a way to work him back in, because nobody ever stays retired if they lose a retirement match, right? So, but here he won it, and, good for him. Happy to see that. And, again, the way they booked it, no, it wasn't 100% clean as a sheet, but it's a circumstance where they both keep their heat coming out of it, and it doesn't hurt either guy. It makes both guys look good in their own way, and I thought they did a good job with what they did with it.
Okay, so I thought that the match was super intense. It's actually almost painful to say that MJF really is a good wrestler. It's just that he just has too much cockiness in his head. He thinks he's all that. So, but the match, I have to say it was a very close call. I actually did thought in that moment that Chris Jericho, lost the match. If it was for Chris Jericho putting his leg on the ring that happened, he would have lost the match. And so, it's kind of like what you said, Rikki Roxx said, this is the kind of thing that they can still go back and forth storyline wise. So, MJF's going to be claiming, oh, you see, I actually won the match or whatever. You know how it is. They're going to do that. Yes.
I mean, that was already the grievance. He already came out this week and was airing that grievance when my man Brian Pillman Jr. came out to shut him up and got in the big schmaz. That was great to see because I love that guy. But yeah, they're already carrying the thread, even though technically the Jericho feud is over with now. It's like, look, I got that 3 count, and it allows the heel to retain a little bit of plausible deniability. It's not like when Hogan came out on Monday after he lost the Piper at the Starrcade 96. Because it was non-title, Hogan just walked out there and said, nah, I didn't get beat. It was like, yes, you did. Everybody's seen it. So here, it's a circumstance where it's just a little bit more, both guys are a little bit more protected by it. And neither guy looks like shit. So that can be hard to do, but, I thought it was clever. I thought it was neat. Some people might have thought it was a little overbooked, but, I think there's a time and a place for stuff like that, and I thought that was a good use of it right there.
Now, the thing I also like is that, we have all said many times before that the way AEW, at least more currently, do these pay-per-views is that they really, it's like there's so much things that are so unpredictable at the moment because we have seen Jericho lost previously by MJF. A lot of us were thinking, oh, okay, he's gonna lose this to Chris Jericho. He wants to have some time off in the wrestling, all that kind of stuff. So, it was a big shocker that he won this. It's kind of like yes and no at the same time, but it's kind of like it was still like wow, I was still not expecting him to win though.
I thought the whole feud, the whole build of it to this, the waivers of Jericho, the whole thing. I think they did it. I think this whole thing was a pretty good piece of business. I remember not everybody being into it at the beginning, but I think they got to a good place with it, and I think both guys came out of the feud looking better for it than they went in, and that's the right way to do a build and a feud, right? The whole point is to get everybody over. Somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose, but at the end of the day, you want everybody to come out looking strong, right? So I think that this whole thing ended up doing good by both guys. So I tip my – I don't wear hats, but if I did, I would tip one to them on that.
So right now with MJF doing that promo on Brian Pillman Jr., are they gonna start? Is that gonna be like the next step there? Is that gonna be like it's gonna be feuding now with Brian Pillman Jr., or what do you think?
I don't know. I'd love to see it. Anything to get Pillman more TV time, because Pillman's one of my favorites there right now. And it's no secret he's been one of my favorites since I met him at the Monster Factory, and we were on a couple shows there, and you know, I'm a huge fan of the guy. I think he's got it. And I think if they really give him an opportunity, like that was a good little opportunity right there to show off his mic skills, and you're in the ring with like the number 2 heel, maybe 1 or 2 heel, and that's never a bad place to be, you know. So hey, if they do something with that, I would like to see that.
So let's see here on the match with Jericho. I guess I'm the one that won. I was the only Jericho faithful because again, the stipulation. I know Jericho looks like he had too much bubbly and too much poutine, but I'm still thinking he can still go at least a few more matches here and there. Obviously, he won't be like all the time, or he'll just he'll be involved in big tag matches where like Guevara or everyone else does most of the work for him, stuff like that. But I still think he can still do a couple of matches here and there. It's too early to call him quits. I still feel AEW is too young still to have a guy that's just there for a while and now he's going to do commentary for the rest of, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But yeah, so both Johnny and Roxx went for MJF. I was the only one that stayed faithful to Jericho.
Yeah, again, I confess that having seen this all before a million times, I had the more cynical mindset of it when I made my prediction. But like I said, this was one where I was happy to be wrong because always Jericho's my guy. I love Jericho. And, he needed a little redemption after all those other times he took the L for MJF. So good for him. I'm wrong, but I'm happy to be wrong, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah.
I mean that, but it's a good FU to the MJF. Like, come on, he needs to lose.
Another thing too, right? With the whole angle with the foot on the rope, the ref coming out, the match getting restarted, the whole thing. We've seen this done before, right? But here it makes more sense because this is a match with a real high stakes stipulation. What better time if you're going to pull this angle, right? Don't have the match get restarted for a throwaway match that doesn't matter, right? This is the kind of match where, like, oh yeah, you would need to make sure that everything's to the letter because, hey man, if somebody loses, this guy might never wrestle again. So you got to be on point, right? So you got to make sure there's no disputing the decision. So I liked that. I thought that was a good way to protect everybody involved because, like I said, we've seen it done, but I can't count how many times they do it in a place where it doesn't even matter, right? Like, oh, they're going to reverse the decision or restart the match, and it's like the match didn't matter anyway. There was no stakes. It was just a match, right? We've seen it. And here they do it in a way that actually makes sense, where it's like, no, okay, this is a situation where they should restart the match because it just wouldn't be right for this guy to have to retire on a bullshit foot on a rope gimmick. So yeah, I mean, those are the little things that when you've been watching this shit for 30 years, it's like, people say it doesn't have to make sense, but I think it does. Or it should.